Ukraine is steadily advancing on the front lines. The armed forces have liberated new positions near Pokrovsk, while Russian defenses continue to collapse under pressure. Step by step, Ukrainian troops are regaining control, destroying enemy equipment and striking deep into Russian-held areas. A Buk M3 system and other military assets have been eliminated. The offensive is progressing with precision and determination, showing that the initiative on the battlefield firmly belongs to Ukraine. Let's talk about it. Hello, this is Ukraine Today. I'm Maria Farafonova, and here are the latest news. Step by step, Ukraine is taking back what is theirs. In the Donetsk region, a new flag on the map of freedom. Ukrainian paratroopers continue to advance successfully. Units of the 82nd Separate Air Assault Brigade have liberated the village of Sukhletske in the Pokrovsk district. They entered the settlement and raised the Ukrainian flag. Let's watch how it happened. During the assault operations, Ukrainian soldiers engaged in a fierce battle with more than 60 Russian occupiers. The outcome is striking. 44 enemy combatants were eliminated, 8 were wounded, and 9 surrendered and were taken prisoner. The village of Sukhletske is located between the towns of Rodinske, Biletske and the village of Surove in the Dobropilla district. It is another strategically important settlement. Once again, Ukrainian paratroopers have proven that the air assault forces operate with precision, speed and relentless determination against the enemy. Meanwhile, other units of the armed forces of Ukraine are holding the line on adjacent sectors. Fresh news from Donetsk region. Ukrainian soldiers repelled the Russian assault in Volodymyrivka. Russian occupiers launched an offensive from the direction of Novotorodzhsk, but instead of a breakthrough, they got stuck in the mud. While their vehicles bogged down ingloriously, Ukrainian FPV drones began a real hunt. HIMARS fire missions finished the job. The result: significant losses among Russian equipment and manpower.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
According to the 33rd Separate Mechanized Brigade, the assault in Volodymyrivka was completely repelled. The Russian attack ended exactly what it began: in the mud. Another Buk out of action. Reconnaissance troops from the Black Forest Brigade spotted and adjusted fire into another enemy launcher, a Buk M3 SAM system. This complex is one of the key components of the enemy's air defense, valued at around $45 million. Another vital element of their shield would be knocked out, weakening their ability to cover both aircraft and missile strikes. Let's watch how it happened. Other Ukrainian armed forces units aren't standing aside either. In the Zaporizhia region, the Ronins of the 65th Separate Mechanized Brigade continued to destroy the enemy. As a result of precise strikes, they eliminated a quad bike, 3 cars, an armored combat vehicle, 1 occupier, 3 artillery pieces, and 2 trucks. The Russians are trying to intensify their activity on this section of the front, but our soldiers are giving the firm response. And here's another fierce operation, this time on the Siversk axis. The Apache unit used drones to neutralize 6 enemy assets that were attempting to break through the defenses. The Russians are stepping up their activity, but our soldiers are responded without mercy. At the same time, on the Zaporizhia front, Ukrainian intelligence forces struck a precise blow against the occupiers. During the operation, fighters from the Defense Intelligence Directorate destroyed a position of Russian drone operators near the village of Plavny. Among those eliminated was Lieutenant Vasily Murzoyev, the platoon commander of the 108th Air Assault Regiment of the Russian Army. He is the son of the Major General Murzoyev, who commands Russia's 18th Army and implicated in war crimes in Kherson. The strike was carried out with a guided aerial bomb after precise targeting by our drones. Full details of the operation are in the video. While the occupiers keep launching attacks, the armed forces of Ukraine are moving to the offensive. Our defenders are achieving what once seemed impossible. In just one day, Ukrainian soldiers reclaimed 3 settlements from the enemy. Watch the report to see how the advance is unfolding.
The Ukrainian armed forces are advancing against the enemy in giant strides, at least by Kremlin standards. While Putin's army spends months fighting for every village, our defenders are achieving what once seemed impossible. In just a single day, they managed to recapture as many as 3 Ukrainian villages from the Russian army. We're talking about the settlement of Sukhletske and 2 other villages in the Pokrovsk direction, Kucherov Yar and Uyut.
Thus, as of August 21st, 2025, the situation in this sector has been stabilized. Control has been restored over 9 settlements, and another 9 have been cleared of enemy sabotage groups. In just the past 10 days, 1,756 enemy soldiers and 75 pieces of enemy equipment have been destroyed here.
The occupiers also suffered huge losses in their attempt to break through the Ukrainian front line in a neighboring sector of the front. For example, fighters of the 33rd Brigade repelled a massive mechanized assault in the area of Vladimirovka, Donetsk region. During the battle, the weather conditions were poor, which did not play into the occupiers' hands. At least 3 enemy armored vehicles got stuck in the swamp, and the infantry that began to disembark from them came under fire from artillery drones. At one point, even a HIMARS joined in to repel the Russian attack. As a result of the battle, the enemy lost 3 armored vehicles destroyed, 3 drowned, and most of their infantry. Nevertheless, the Russian army does not give up hope of breaking through our defenses at least somewhere along the front at any cost, even if it means hundreds or thousands of their soldiers killed.
Every day, basically, there is news that the armed forces have locally pushed out the enemy here or liberated territory there. In all directions, essentially, they are repelling some large-scale enemy attacks. Every day, dozens of attacks are carried out in different directions.
The enemy is especially desperate to drive the armed forces of Ukraine out of Pokrovsk. Enemy sabotage groups have been storming the positions of the Ukrainian armed forces there around the clock without stopping for the past several days. The situation in this direction remains extremely difficult for the Ukrainian armed forces. Nevertheless, despite all the enemy's efforts, our defenders are bravely holding the defense of Pokrovsk.
The defense of Pokrovsk has been holding for over a year now. Over a year, just think about it. How many thousands of Russians have died there? Losses exceed 200,000. These are officially confirmed losses, according to figures from foreign intelligence agencies. Another question, how much Russian equipment have Russian generals lost in this direction? The generals have lost their epaulets.
The Pokrovsk direction is the main topic of conversation for Russian propaganda. But when it comes to their so-called achievements on other parts of the front, Kremlin propaganda prefers not to talk about it. You're unlikely to see footage like this on TV across the border. Within minutes of detection, the border guards from the Guard Brigade's reconnaissance and strike UAV groups completely destroy yet another enemy position. As a result, the occupiers lost at least 2 of their tanks, a vehicle, an antenna, electronic warfare equipment, and a significant portion of their personnel in the southern Slobozhanshchina direction. Despite all their efforts, the Russians have not managed to achieve a single significant victory, either on the ground or in the air. The only thing the occupiers seem to excel at is creating weapons of mass terror against civilians. A vivid example of this is the barbaric raid on wind turbines near Kramatorsk. These are clearly civilian critical infrastructure facilities. In this way, the Russians destroyed a 3rd wind power station in Kramatorsk. Previously, the occupiers attacked wind turbines on October 22nd and 24th. Endless air raids on Ukrainian cities may become the Kremlin's new tactic. To this end, Russia is actively testing more and more new types of its own drones. For example, UAVs with a ring wing. An unusual enemy drone was detected by a Ukrainian anti-aircraft drone. Its exact purpose has not yet been determined. However, it is assumed that it could have performed both reconnaissance and strike missions. Overall, in just the past week alone, the enemy has sent at least 1,200 UAVs toward Ukraine, dropped more than 1,360 guided aerial bombs, and used more than 50 missiles of various types.
Every strike by Russia is an attempt to inflict as much harm as possible on ordinary life. This week, these are strikes on residential buildings, on our people, on children, on civilian infrastructure. This is the main target for the Russians. Thousands of strikes with different types of weapons in just 1 week.
However, military analysts assure that Ukraine's response to Russian terror is also not far off.
Ukraine was, is, and will be, and sooner or later, Ukrainian Tomahawks will definitely meet Russian decision-making centers.
While the American Tomahawks are still on their way, the security service of Ukraine has shown off its own new developments.
We are handing over this remarkable Magura B-7, which has already achieved a number of victories.
The drone was purchased with donations from Ukrainians as part of a large-scale fundraising campaign joined by local artists, influencers, and athletes.
This strike marine drone is the first in the world to have destroyed aerial targets.
Thanks to just one such marine drone, the occupiers can potentially suffer tremendous losses, which the SSU promises to report in its upcoming video updates.
What do you think about the latest events? Share your opinion in the comments, like the video, and stay informed about the main headlines. More to come?